Is this the answer? We're going to explore that question coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and as always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I greatly appreciate all of you for making today's Eagles Now a part of your day. And the topic at hand, could a Khalil Mack trade help the Philadelphia Eagles defense and boost what has been, through the first 4 games, a non-existent pass rush? Before we talk about that, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And I have a challenge for the entire Bird Gang. As people watch this show from every pocket of America and worldwide, can we get to 87,000 subscribers before the Eagles play their next game against the Cleveland Browns at Lincoln Financial Field in Week 6? We are 756 people away from that number. So if you're looking for Eagles shows every single day that will keep you informed and entertained, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's begin by taking a look at the Eagles' defensive woes this year. It is not a secret that this Eagles defense, with Vic Fangio coordinating it, has been bad to start the 2024 campaign. And specifically, they have really struggled in generating a pass rush. That's why we're talking about Khalil Mack as a perfect trade target for this Eagles team going into November's NFL trade deadline. The Eagles are 30th in sacks in the NFL. The Eagles are 31st in turnover differential. That is just not sustainable for a team that has Super Bowl and playoff aspirations. The Eagles can't get to the quarterback, and on the defensive side of the football, they're not generating a lot of turnovers, but Jalen Hurts specifically is turning the football over a lot. And when your turnover differential is that low and that abysmal, you are just not going to be a winning team. And this comes after last year when Philadelphia was -10 in turnover differential. So far this year, they're about at -6. And what's also concerning and weird to me is Vic Fangio's defense. I know a lot of people have said he needs to run a 4-3. He's always run a 3-4. The 2 safety high looks, sometimes that can be a little bit too conservative, and it just gives the opposition easy completions to pick up easy yards. As part of easy completions and easy yards, this Eagles defense, albeit them struggling, isn't doing enough to tax the opposing offense. And included in that, not being able to stop the run, not being able to pressure the quarterback, not generating turnovers, some of the schematic things. Another schematic element here is that the Eagles have had no press corner on 88% of their snaps this year. That is the highest mark in the NFL. So when Baker Mayfield last Sunday is able to just drop back and see that corners for Philadelphia are 6, 8, 10 yards off the ball, he was getting rid of the football in less than 2 seconds. The fastest mark in the NFL this year, and the Eagles were doing nothing to combat that. They were doing nothing to adjust their defensive game plan to make it harder for Tampa Bay. And in the blink of the eye, Philadelphia is down 14-0. As Mayfield had a passer rating on the first 2 drives when he was nearly perfect of over 150. Too easy. And going back to the pass rush problem, one of the purposes of today's show, it's been part scheme. It's been part execution. Lack of personnel. Players not fulfilling their own expectations. Or Bryce Huff just not simply working out. Teams are getting rid of the ball too quickly. And inconsistency. All of those things have been issues for this Eagles team, and that's why they rank so low as far as team-wide sack production. Why Khalil Mack makes sense for the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, still an excellent player, even though he is 33 years old. But you think about who Mack is, what he's done, what he could bring to the table here. He has scheme familiarity, and he is a Vic Fangio scheme fit. While with the Chicago Bears back in 2018, when Vic Fangio was Chicago's defensive coordinator, Khalil Mack was a first-team All-Pro. He is also on an expiring contract. He is 33 years old, so does he fit the Los Angeles Chargers timeline here? One would imagine he doesn't. The Chargers restructured his contract to bring him back for this year. They, of course, wanted to see how competitive they could be in year 1 of the Jim Harbaugh era. But if the Chargers slip a little bit, they start losing games and they fall out of playoff contention, could the Chargers look to trade Khalil Mack so that they can get value back for a player who they otherwise might just lose altogether in NFL free agency? And if they lose him in free agency, they get nothing back. If they trade him going into the deadline when they realize we're in the AFC West, the Kansas City Chiefs are still balling, the AFC has a lot of premium contenders. We're not ready to be a playoff contending or Super Bowl contending team yet, so let's trade Khalil Mack. Let's get some draft compensation back from a team like Philadelphia, because I don't know if the Chargers want to even re-sign a 33-year-old edge rusher. That goes back to him not really fitting that Chargers timeline. And let's next go to this, because you think about how Howie Roseman has operated as a general manager in this league and the types of moves that he maneuvers and pulls off. The Eagles' pass rush so far this year has been non-existent, and a Khalil Mack trade would help solve a lot of the Eagles' defensive issues. He played under Vic Fangio, he's a scheme fit, and this is a Howie Roseman type of move where it's aggressive, it fulfills a need. And I think that Howie here, for a 33-year-old pass rusher who is still playing really good football, gets a player at great value where he wouldn't have to send the Los Angeles Chargers a massive package in order to bring him to Philadelphia. And when the Eagles are bottom 3 in sack production and they're -6 in turnover differential, and they've been one of the worst defenses in the National Football League, they need to make some defensive changes, because I think that this Eagles offense is going to be able to get it together. There's way too much talent on that side of the ball, and this is an Eagles organization with Super Bowl aspirations, but the defense could be their undoing, and that's why Khalil Mack trade makes sense for the Birds. What a career also he's been able to put together. Fifth overall pick, out of Buffalo back in the 2014 NFL draft. And I remember going into the draft and that college year, the 2013 college season, and there was so much chatter, so much buzz about this Buffalo edge rusher, and scouts started to fall in love with the player, and they were right, the ones who really liked Mack when he was at Buffalo, and it was justified for him to be the 5th overall pick all the way back in 2014, more than a decade ago. He became the NFL Defensive Player of the Year in year 3 while with the Las Vegas Raiders. He was for some reason traded from the Raiders to the Chicago Bears by John Gruden in a series of awful moves that him and Mike Mayock had made. And Mack has gone on from that 2014 draft to become a 4-time first-team All-Pro, an 8-time Pro Bowler. He has 1 second-team All-Pro to his name as well, which isn't listed here. And his career's still going, yet he was already named a 2010s All-Decade team member alongside some Eagles in Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox, by the way. His career numbers really are ridiculous, too. 155 games played. He's been a very durable player throughout his career, and he has 104 career sacks in those 155 career games played, 138 TFLs. He's averaged more than 1 quarterback hit per contest, and a player who's going to run with twitch, bend, size, speed, athleticism off that edge, but he'll give you the occasional pass breakup and just a force to be reckoned with. He can generate turnovers. He can force quarterbacks into making porous decisions. Those 34th fumbles, some game-changing plays there. Khalil Mack is also coming off a year last year. Different defensive coordinator, different coaching staff, different defense, but still a really good year in which he had 17 sacks. In one game, he did have 6 sacks, so that number is a little bit inflated. But even if you take that one game away, he still finished with 11 sacks that year. So the 17 sacks in 2023, a career high for Khalil Mack. In his age 32 season, he added 22 quarterback hits, 10 pass breakups. So a lot of his pass breakups coming during the 2023 season. And then he also notched 21 TFLs. And his Pro Football Focus numbers, really awesome. Overall PFF grade of 91.8, a pass rush grade of 86.3, a run defense grade of 90.8. This Eagles team, they can't get after the quarterback. They can't stop the run. Khalil Mack can help you in both of those areas. He had 88 pressures and 59 hurries alongside those 17 sacks. This year, numbers not quite as high, but he's still playing awesome football through the first month. 89.8 overall PFF grade, run defense grade of 84.3, and a pass rush grade of 75.8. So with that, this is today's poll question. I want to hear from you down in the comments section here. Should Howie Roseman trade for Khalil Mack? T for trade, P for pass. He's one of the more perfect trade candidates in my eyes for the Eagles this year. Our sponsor for today's Eagles Now, our friends at Game Time. I grew up going to Eagles games at Veterans Stadium and at Lincoln Financial Field. I will never forget those memories. They're some of the fondest memories of my childhood. And that's what you get when you go to games. So download the Game Time app, and when you create an account and you use the code CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off. Terms apply, first purchase only. But outside of sports, since I talk sports for a living, sometimes I like to do other things. I like to go to comedy shows. I like to go to concerts and listen to some music. Sometimes I'll hit the occasional theater show. And on the Game Time app, you can get tickets to those types of events as well. So you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And Game Time, unlike the other apps, specializes in the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed and last-minute tickets. If you want to go to an Eagles game this year, home or away, we're giving you a look at how the app operates. I love how you can see the vantage point and the price point from your seats. Philadelphia Phillies postseason baseball getting underway at the bank. It will be rocking on Saturday against the winner of Brewers Mets. So again, download the app, create an account, use that code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, to get $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. What time is it? Game time. And what time is it here on the show? Time to get to the back half of it. Can the Philadelphia Eagles turn it around coming out of the bye week? Let's explore it here on the show. Why fans are annoyed up to this point, as Philadelphia is dead even at 500, 2-2 going into this Week 5 bye. Well, some of the carryover effect has carried over from last year to this year, when the Eagles finished 1-6, and it was an ugly ending to the season after the Eagles started 10-1. And some people have been in the comment section, Chase, you have to stop talking about last year. Last year was last year. I'll stop talking about last year when the issues from last year get fixed by the current head coach who was the head coach last year, because we're seeing some of the same issues. The Eagles suck at tackling. They're getting penalized way too much. They're turning the football over. They've been sloppy. They have had some ugly losses. Sometimes it looks as though they are ill-prepared, and their effort has come into question at times. They've also blown a lot of games when they've been leading in the second half, third quarter, fourth quarter, and in the last 2 minutes. Jalen Hurts' turnovers continue to be alarming. He has 54 in 60 games. And what is one consistent issue, especially for this Eagles team last year and this year? Last year, the defense stunk. First month of the year this year, the defense still stinks. But let me inject some positivity into your membrane. The Eagles rank 5th in both pass block win rate at 68% and run block win rate at 74%. I always like to say I'm an advocate for building your team in the trenches. Philadelphia is still very sound in the trenches on the offensive side of the ball. Now it's up to the defensive side of the ball to carry the torch in the trenches. More good news coming out of the bye against Cleveland. You have to imagine A.J. Brown's going to come back with that hamstring injury. Devontae Smith will clear concussion protocol, and the same can be said for Lane Johnson coming off his concussion. And the schedule is going to ease up for Philadelphia. According to ESPN Analytics, the Eagles have the 4th easiest remaining strength of schedule. Their next 4 games after the bye, Browns are 1-3, Giants are 1-3, Bengals are 1-3, the Jags are 0-4. For all of the hand-wringing Tim McManus said, they could head into the second half of their season several games over 500, and they should, because the talent is certainly there. How many games will the Eagles win this year? My prediction was 11 to start the year. They already have 2. They can reach 11. It can be as bad as them being 9-8. If they're below 500, bye-bye, Nick Sirianni.